our second guest in a row. I don't even know what's happening around here.
We're getting more popular.
You're making friends. That's what's happening.
Well, neither of those are true.
Yeah.
One
you already knew, so we didn't make a friend. Because you already knew Dave.
Oh, that's true. Andrea, we met at work.
Yes.
And so basically what I want to do here is I just kind of want to set the stage, and I'm going to let the dogs off the chain.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
So,
oh, boy.
A podcast that nobody's ever going to hear because it's been deleted because it was basically awful outside of a 10 to 15 minute rant about something you had never heard of.
That is true. And I just started making, that's exactly what it was.
And what was that thing?
That thing was incels.
Incels. So we brought it up literally. We were talking about relationships. We were talking about relationships and crummy relationships. And you brought up something. I don't exactly remember, but it wasn't a positive subject.
No.
So,
well, usually not. That's usually not how you tie incels into anything.
Right. So Joe had never heard of incels ever. And I'm describing to him...
To be fair, I had. Oh. I just didn't know that there was a name to them.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When you're describing, you're like, incels, this, involuntary. I'm like, oh, yeah, the first 18 years of my life. And then 2 more years after that, 6 to 9 months sprinkled in through most of my life. I'm like, I just didn't know that there was a name. I didn't know that. I didn't know that I had friends out there that I didn't know about.
The best
friends.
Friends. The best part about this, the thing that nobody's ever going to hear, is as Joe and I are talking about incels, there's this, you could literally hear our evolution of thinking about this to the point where it dawns on both of us.
This isn't that funny.
No, it went from being...
Just how bad it really is.
Yeah, it went from being funny to within 10 minutes... This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's,
welcome to my world.
Yes. And
so here you are.
That's kind of what was funny about it, is that as we both started realizing this actually isn't as funny as we originally thought it was. And originally I did, because really you said incels. I'm like, people who can't get laid. I thought they were just called people who... I thought it was called a slump. I didn't know.
Yeah. People who just can't get laid.
But no, there's a website. There's a corner of the internet world that is dedicated to this that I've discovered over the last couple of weeks. And then I remember we'd posted something about it and never took it down because we didn't know if we were going to use that podcast or not. And Andrea
get mad.
Oh, this was really funny because I think I even just put hashtag incels. I didn't even mention what we were talking about.
Instant anger, instant just rage.
I remember her comment because actually her comment is why I asked her, is why I suggested we should ask her, because your comment was just, oh no, comma, not incel. That was the entire comment. And I'm like, oh, you know what? She sounds like she may have something to say about this. And it turns out she is way more prepared and knowledgeable about this, which was why we're really happy and lucky to have her.
Well, thank you. I'm super excited, and like I said, I was to you guys before, but I'll restate for here. I'm really happy that you did come to this realization and you didn't just let it be a joke. Because that's, I think, one of the hardest things is to make sure people understand that, like, yeah, okay, it's cringy, it's creepy, it's awkward, and if you are, like, thinking that's funny, okay, but it's also extremely dangerous rhetoric.
And that's, and to give you background, I don't know if you've ever listened to any of the podcasts, but we don't do a ton of prep. Because usually what we're talking about, because when we see, like when we talked about that on the surface, it's like you said, it's cringy, it's weird, it's kind of goofy. And then as we were discussing it, we're finding quotes. We're like, oh, this person said this. And then, as Patrick said, and that's, I almost wish that we still had the recording so we could probably pinpoint the exact time when we both arrived at, like,
oh,
this actually isn't funny anymore. Like, like the quotes are just like, Jesus, people think that.
And when you start to think about, like, you hear somebody say, sex is a right. You're like, holy shit. No.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
Because at first, I was like, well, that's a dumb comment. Of course it's not a right.
Right.
And then it snowballs.
It just snowballs into, like, all of a sudden forced mating. And you're just, how? How did this... It's almost so extreme that it's absurdist. You can't really comprehend that people really think that way.
You know what?
Insane.
It's funny you said, because I think it actually is, but normal people can't get there faster because we can't, at least for me, I'm lumping myself on the normal side. And I think normie actually is a word that comes in here.
That comes there a lot, yeah.
But I think that's why it's because we don't think that way because it's not a normal way to think. When he's like, he said, it says right here, sex is a right. I'm like, I can tell you for sure it's not. It just kept going and going in quotes, and people then support that quote. Normally someone would say something goofy and crazy like that, and they would just get jumped on, and that was the end of it. And then you're finding supporters. Then you're people back, well, he's saying this. Well, it's truthfully about this. And then we skip all of the quote unquote kind of tiptoeing around the political or rhetoric or whatever it is, and then it's just straight up I hate women.
Oh yeah, it's straight up misogyny, and misogyny is not new. It's that the internet now has given it such a powerful voice, and we've given it like gathering places. We've given it places to radicalize. So it becomes that like snowball effect and that echo chamber of people just being awful about women with each other.
I'm going to ask you a question. By the way, misogyny is the right word, but my brain is having a hard time equating what these people think and do to what people think of misogynists. Here's what I mean. Like, I think if you think of somebody who's a typical misogynist, you're like, oh, barefoot and pregnant, and where's my steak, and I want get me a beer, and like, hey, the game is on, keep it down, stop running the vacuum.
Right, gender roles.
Yeah, right. These people. They're not even. I honestly don't think that the typical definition of what we think of misogyny, I don't think that they even understand it to be that. To them, this is another definition. Like, these people, the way they view women, and quite frankly, other people, pretty fucked up.
Subhuman. They're not people.
And that's
subhuman
is one
point.
that I saw. The other thing, and I think it's one of the other reasons, and I'm trying not to bounce around, but man, this is
well, you
really
are because
hard.
I was trying to ask Andrea a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I have a whole like.
So, God, you lock your keys in your house one goddamn time, and all of a sudden you're just a third fucking wheel. I was on this episode 1, Patrick. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so misogyny, the right word. I can't figure it out. So explain to me like explain to me the misogyny in this, and how it's misogynistic and how it's not something way past that.
I mean, I agree that it is absolutely, it's like misogyny turned up to 11. So you've got the basic premise of misogyny, which is that women are subordinate. Women are meant to be controlled. They are meant to be directed. They become this side project. They are not their own independent person. And that's like the base thought of misogyny. And that's kind of the base thought with incels is that women aren't people.
It's an object.
Oh,
yeah, we're objects.
They're objects for sure.
And that's actually one of my big points is that they don't even refer to them as women. They're females. They're femoids. There's these disgusting terms, roasties, which I explained earlier, which is disgusting. And we'll get back to that. But like,
God, I didn't know what that was.
You don't want to. Anyway, point is, so there's that base understanding that these are not people they're interacting with. Women are not people, they are things. And somehow there are things, but there's like this disconnect that they are a thing, but they also have their own independent actions, and that's not fair. How dare they? Like, how are they able to think this way?
Why aren't these things doing what I want them to do?
Exactly. And that's when you start getting into all the pseudoscience that backs up incel, like, culture. They start using all those social sciences and what do I have? I have biological determinism, which is a big one, which is like, I'm genetically bad, and that's what's happening here. So
red pill, black pill.
The terminology is so awful. But yeah, so it is definitely misogynistic, but it's in an extreme form. And it's hard because, like, yeah, misogyny is just like, it's such a broad concept. And it's kind of like it just fits in the umbrella, but you can't really describe it as that.
And maybe that's why I'm struggling with it, because I agree 100%. It's clearly misogynistic behavior. But you've used one word twice already, and it's 100% right. And you and I talked about this, Joe. This is absolutely extremism.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
No doubt. No doubt at all. And actually, so we've thrown out a couple of terms here, and I know since we're probably going to use them a lot, should we define them now?
We can.
We probably should.
Let's red pill, black pill. I know you don't want to do roasty, but I kind of want to.
Okay, well, we'll just lead off.
Why don't
with
we
that
start
one.
there?
Let's start with
roasty. Because
come out swinging.
I learned this one today. Roasty is a derogatory term about a woman's vagina, essentially describing that it looks like roast beef. My understanding is that it is very much about, like, insulting how much sex she has, because it's that your vagina gets super loose if you're having all this sex kind of theory. So they just refer to women who they think are sluts as roasties.
Jesus.
I started reading it in context, and I was like, I thought I didn't know what I thought they were talking about burnt out or something.
That's what
like,
I
strung
thought.
out, like, no, they're talking about their vaginas, and I was like, okay, cool, another dehumanizing word. Awesome. So that's a
From people who have no experience
from people who have
with
no
vaginas.
idea what a vagina actually looks
Yeah.
like or is.
Based on what this guy online said.
Based on this picture from my health textbook in 6th grade.
But isn't that a great example? And I want to get back to the terms, but isn't this a great example of why this group of people is a problem? They don't know what they're talking about.
They're angry about something that they clearly don't understand, don't have the capacity to understand, and in a lot of cases, don't even have the patience to try to understand.
Right.
Oh, not at all.
That's actually, I think, might be the worst thing about it is it's all assumptive. Like they're open about how they've never been with a woman, someone never kissed a woman, never held hands with a woman, but they know all the actions and all the thoughts of women. How are they arriving at that, having no women experience whatsoever? And that's the disconnect that I don't think any of them seem to actually be able to connect those dots as to why it's so hypocritical and incorrect to say that this is the way it is. Women are like this. What's your experience with women? Well, I have no experience with women. Well, then what are you basing that off of? That's not important.
So what other? That's true. What other terms do we have?
Well, the pills, black pill.
Yeah, there's the blue pill, the red pill, and the black pill.
I went right to the Matrix. By the way.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I-
it's all about the Matrix and the concept of being introduced to the real reality. So it starts with, blue pillars who are living in our fantasy world where everything is equal and everything is fine. So we would be considered, I think, blue pillars because, we're not living in the true reality that they are.
We're just duped. We're stupid. We don't know
duped.
what women
doing?
are really like, Patrick.
Right.
You have no
Well,
idea.
I don't think that I do.
I never have claimed to.
Don't try. I don't either.
I'm definitely not black pill.
No, oh buddy. So the red pill is the kind of start of it. This is the seeing the world for what it really is, and it's a matriarchy. It's that women actually run it and men are socially disenfranchised. So we have the pussy pass. We can do whatever we want, and we can get whatever we want simply for the fact that we are women.
Okay, finally, this is making some sense now. Okay, so that's all accurate. Let's go to the next one. Clearly women run everything.
Clearly, women
Obviously.
run the show. But so that's kind of where that belief comes from.
Pussy pass.
And oh my god, I love
That's such a term from someone who's never kissed a girl.
Right?
That's complete. That's like a grade school term that you and your buddies came up with.
And they use it, and they use it for like child support cases or just criminal cases where women are getting off easier or getting lighter sentences. It's the pussy pass. So women are actually running this world, and men are not benefiting at all in any way from it.
Which is clearly absurd, right? We can all agree that that's an absurdity. But let's face it, people who are attractive, men and women, both, do have a lot of benefits.
It's true. I have a very easy life.
Yeah, you
Due to this,
I'm surprised you have to put any effort into life.
I had 3 people offer to drive me here.
That's strange.
They're like, "Sir, do you need a ride?" I'm like, "It's fine."
I mean, right though? I guess what I'm saying is
My
there.
pussy pass is in full effect.
Yes, I know. I've
I
seen
think
you.
mine's broken. Nobody offered to drive me here.
Yeah,
I had to gas up my own car.
but I mean,
What the fuck?
isn't that something that incels clearly extremism? They've taken it far too.
Well, yeah. You mentioned a couple. Let's just say a divorce court case. They're taking an instance or an anecdote and turning it into the rule.
Yes.
They're ignoring all the times. Like, what about the times when men don't have to pay child support for a loophole or something like that? They're ignoring those factors, and they're like, "Well,
Wait, what's that loophole? I kind of need to know that.
I actually
Can you write
wrote it
that down?
Yeah, I wrote it
'Cause
down.
That
I don't
might be
remember where I
somewhere.
put it.
I don't think I put that on my notes.
Did I email it to you?
Boy, I could use that information.
Did I email it? You know what? I think I put it on our Instagram. Everyone, please follow, by the way. But they're taking the instances that they're picking and choosing. They're picking the instances that they don't like, and they're turning that into law.
Yes.
Like, that's what happens every single time, which, again, a 5-minute Google search would be able to disprove that. But it's like everything else. Once you found the reason, the answer that you like, That's where you stay. You stay in that lane. You don't want to find something that contradicts that. They're not going to Google court cases that went the men's way. They don't want to know that part.
Yeah.
No, because that would be proving them wrong. They can't have that.
So
how do I explain that?
What other terms you have?
So the
black pill.
Yeah, the black pill is kind of this level of this is where you get the actual incel. This is where you get the sad and the pathetic and the cringy. This is where you get
of the actual incel.
Yeah, you get the hopelessness and the fatalism. And they actually follow a lot with their genetic determinism. These are nice big words I wrote down here. It's basically saying, because of factors outside of my control, i.e. my genetics, women will never like me, and I just have to accept this fact. It's swallowing the black pill.
Yeah.
It's understanding that because you're not attractive, nothing is ever going to happen for you.
There's a couple other words for that, too. One's cowardice. No one is genetically disposed to not being attracted to the opposite sex. They're just not. It's I don't buy that or believe that.
Wait, say that one more time.
No one is just born. They're like, no couple has a child and they're like, oh, damn it, fuck, we had an incel. Look at him. No one's ever gonna love this baby.
Right.
I already don't like him, and I just had him.
Yeah. Matter of fact, what kind of stupid name can we give him?
Yeah, let's just call him. I don't know.
Scooby.
Call him Any the incel. Any the incel. Innis. Let's call him Innis. The closest thing to incel. Let's call him that. That's not wanting to accept responsibility. And you're saying, well, it's not my fault. Genetics. It's not diabetes. It's not, it's not cancer. It's not something that can be passed down to you. It's not. I hate that. I hate that. That's such a stupid cop out for lazy people that do not want to go out and actually fucking try or take a hard look at themselves.
I just want to point out that in my experience working in healthcare, N equals 1, but I have seen some objectively ugly people getting laid. So, I mean, it takes a little effort. But there's a lid for every pot. There really is. If it's misshapen, misformed, or broken, there's still one.
It's all about...
There's a lid for every pot.
I do like that.
It's all about perspective.
That was a high five for anyone that couldn't see that. This is not video.
If I'm sitting at home hoping that Kate Beckinsale is going to go out to dinner with me, I'm going to be sitting home a lot.
Yeah.
Even if in the realm of possibility my paths were to cross with Kate Beckinsale, I'm not going to have a shot at going out to dinner with Kate Beckinsale.
With that attitude, you probably won't. First of all,
You
Kate
miss
Beckinsale, if you're
100% of the
listening,
shots.
you would be lucky to
That's
go out
right.
on a date with Patrick. He would happily
Super
buy you
lucky.
a steak, probably some beers.
Do you remember the whole child support comment? Let's bring it down a notch. Applebee's.
They have steak at Applebee's.
Oh, dude,
That's not good.
then yes, a steak.
Or I guess like a long burger. I guess it's not really a steak at Applebee's. Either way, what I'm saying, Miss Beckinsale, I think you're kind of dismissing what I think would be an amazing emotional ride with Patrick.
If nothing else, it'd be a great story.
Yeah.
It's a great story to tell your friends. It's a great story to tell People Magazine when you're promoting your next movie.
Yeah.
My point is...
I hooked up with that guy from the Guiltless podcast.
My point is, my lack of a date with Kate Beckinsale doesn't make me an incel. It makes me stupid for pinning all my hopes on a date with Kate Beckinsale.
And you and I have talked about this a lot, and I wanted to get kind of your opinion on this too. And I'm forming this as a question, even though I 100% know the answer. Are some of these guys shooting just a little too high? Like, I have a lot...
Hold on to that thought. Have
All
we
right.
gone? Because I do want to get. Want to get to that. But are we through our terminology?
Oh, are we going to do the Chad and Stacy's and the
Yeah,
Beckys?
we got to do it all.
Because that's actually good. That's actually going to help.
No, please.
That's actually going to help lead into your point about them overshooting their boundaries.
And you're really going to have to try to keep us on.
Yeah.
Because we can just go all over the place.
That's I have notes. That's why.
Awesome.
So we got more terminology. We have the Chads, which are the prototypical manly men. They are the muscly men. They are the physically attractive, symmetrical faced men.
Yeah.
Who
Chiseled jaw for some reason.
they're really
is a
into
big
the
thing.
jaw.
Some are called Joe.
Mm,
Still? No?
No.
I'm really sorry I keep bringing this back to me, but I hadn't spoken in a while.
No, you have.
Joe.
I know, it's maybe 40 seconds ago. But anyway, let's go.
Yeah, no. So the Chads are the enemy, number one, numero uno enemy of the incel because they have everything the incel can't have.
And that is such The thing that kills me the most, it's such an accepted name term now. It's everywhere. Everywhere I've listened to,
cringe.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for people named Chad.
What the fuck did Chad do? That came from whoever invented that's like that fucking guy Chad from high school. That's exactly where that came from.
It is Chad the jock, Chad the football player, Chad the star quarterback,
prom
whatever.
king, football player.
Yeah.
I will guarantee you there's some incel named Chad, and he probably wants to change his name.
Well, he's going by his middle name.
Yeah,
Has to
Wick.
Yeah.
Wick? Chadwick.
I feel like you just took the first name and broke it in two.
I did. But he's not.
That's not what a middle name is.
I know that.
My
I
full
have
name
a middle
is
name.
Joseph. My middle name isn't Seth.
But if you were an incel, you would probably go by Seth instead of Joe on the dark web.
I would for sure.
Wait, I don't know. I don't want to.
On the interweb.
I don't want to.
I don't want to know about incels in the dark web. That's a whole nother.
We don't want to go there.
Episode.
Anyhow, Chad's, Stacy's.
Yeah,
what are Stacy's?
Stacy's are the ultimate in hot chick. That's tits, that's ass, that's beautiful hair, that's perfect face. That's like on the scale, she's a 9 or a 10. Like she is the ultimate feminine ideal, and she only goes with Chads because that's what she wants. She's going above her station.
So they're setting their standard on 10% of the entire population of dateable people.
Yep. Fucking insults. I emailed Kate Upton, she didn't respond. Clearly I'm gonna die alone.
I mean, clearly yes you are, but it's not because Kate Upton didn't respond.
So because Kate Upton has plans.
Chads and Stacy's, from what I'm hearing from you, Chads and Stacy's are so goddamn good looking that the rest of us would be intimidated to have a conversation with them. They're basing their entire extreme revolution on whether or not they can have a date with a Stacy.
Yep, and
that
then they have to
so
settle.
Fucked up.
Then they have to settle for Becky's.
Oh,
I think I'm not trying
Becky.
to put myself on a pedestal, but I think I would totally be a Becky. No, so Becky's are the substandard women. Oh,
Becky's
are the normal women. Becky's are the women who don't have the curves and don't have the face, but they're like cute-ish. I guess in general vernacular they would be cute-ish.
They'll do for now.
That's really what it is.
Until
It's that
Stacy
they'll
comes
do.
around.
It's that they'll do.
You warm up with a Becky and work your way toward a Stacy.
Yeah.
Basically,
you gotta
yeah.
stretch out
The
before you
ultimate
run,
goal.
man.
Ultimate goal is a Stacy,
Right.
but
You gotta stretch out before you run. You can't just start sprinting, man.
Right.
Do a light jog.
Becky's are like
Do a Becky.
Yeah. Do a Becky.
What, you think you're gonna go? If you go straight for a Stacy, you're gonna pull a Hanny.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It kills almost one American a year.
almost
Almost one American per
almost
year.
one whole American.
I love the name. But that's the name thing is what is, and there's not a lot. I'm actually surprised we've laughed as much as we have. But the names, I feel like this came from somebody who went to school with a Becky and a Chad and a Stacy, and they're
just
like
archetyped
boom,
them and like
boom.
this is who they
This
are.
is what it is. This is a stereotype. This is not personal information. This is, I'm just throwing these names out there. Let's just say, I don't know, fucking Chad.
I actually think
This means nothing. Don't dig into my past.
If I had to pick a name,
Whatever,
I'd go with
I don't know. Let's just pick one out of a hat. Fucking Chad. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if it's a girl, I don't know. Maybe she lived down the street from me. Her name's Stacy. I don't know.
I know I totally actually just read about the origin of where this came from.
Oh, you did?
Because I was reading about it in the car while waiting for everybody.
Oh.
I was like, oh yeah,
All right, we were late. I'm gonna drive it home. Jesus Christ.
run it into the ground.
late
here.
to our own
Fucking
podcast.
Becky's.
A couple of assholes.
Stacy would never bring that up.
No.
A classic Becky move.
Oh my god, where was it? It just has a really good like explanation.
I would love. I the more I thought about it, like that clearly came from somewhere. What is this? This is
Bullet bourbon. Look, here's
Is that
the
like
deal.
the official sponsored drink of the Guiltless podcast?
Well,
funny you should bring that up.
Yeah, Calumet was,
But they won't respond.
but they won't respond.
Rude.
We tagged them in posts. We sent them messages. Nothing.
You know what?
Whoever does their marketing there needs to be fired,
I agree.
or social media.
Yeah, we're going on record with that, by the way, so it's legit.
So I think we're
it's
switching our
recorded now.
allegiance to Bullet Bourbon.
Splinter Spirits, by the way, said that they're going to send us some information about their list of locations.
Oh, fantastic!
So thank you, Splinter Spirits. Calumet, I'm not completely writing you off, but
I have.
oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Calumet, we have completely written you off.
Well, that's a bummer. No. Okay, I cannot figure out where I read it, but the point is I read it. Something sexual Marxism. It's a whole thing. We'll figure that out.
Okay, well, yeah, it's So we have Chad, Stacy's, Becky's. Is there another name for Chads? Like if you're
there are only good-looking people.
There's only Chad.
There's only Chad.
And then we've got normies, which I think are just like the normal everyday, which is probably the lower Chad. It's the Becky equivalent for men, is my understanding. Is the normie.
Okay.
He's a normal guy. He's a standard guy who's not going to have necessarily a lot of trouble getting women, but he's not a Chad.
Oh, I'm a normie for sure.
Yeah.
I'm no Chad. Like I'm not walking down the street.
No one here is arguing. You are not a Chad.
Right. Okay.
No, just right. Let's just go to the next topic.
Standard dude. Okay, so
standard guy.
5 right down the middle of the road.
Yeah.
I'm a C average.
Oh yeah.
I'm
sorry, I'm agreeing with you so.
I know. I would like somebody to fucking disagree.
Well, she's the guest. It should.
Oh,
be
are you
her.
looking at your watch? You said.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
She's like, Normie, shut the fuck up and go. I got stuff to do.
She literally 28 minutes ago said, "I don't have plans," and now she's checking her watch every 3 minutes.
I can think of.
I have plans on Thursday. Apparently,
I can think of all
right.
I can think of some shit I could do.
Okay, are we done with our definitions, our terms?
Yeah, I think that'll get us through the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, if we come across anything else.
So now let's go back to what we were talking about, like where you were saying, are these people playing on the same field that they should be playing on, or are they little leaguers playing on major leaguer fields?
They're not, at least from everything that I've and I'm going off of just everything that I've been reading and watching on YouTube, and not to keep going back to the failed podcast that Patrick and I did. The other thing that we kind of came to the conclusion of when we scrapped that was he and I just had to do, if we're going to talk about it, we just have to read more, and we did that night.
But we didn't know. We didn't know how deep this rabbit hole was.
Oh,
so we were reading things that night, and we're like, God, we really should have done some research on this. And then it was more and more. And he and I were talking one day after another podcast, and we're just like, I really want to go back to this, but we have to actually prepare for it. Hence, Andrea.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a disgustingly, like, morbidly fascinating topic. There's really not, like, another word for it. You're not going to go in there all happy-go-lucky, and I don't come out of there happy, because I have to absorb the realization that I am the enemy to these people.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
So, I have to recognize and reconcile the fact that everything I'm reading that these people think is true for them, which means they're looking at me the way they are describing women.
And you're touching on something, because when you and I were kind of going back and forth kind of planning this, you said something that really resonated with me, was that when I told you kind of like the history of it, you're like, absolutely. When you're talking about it, especially kind of, early on, it's very, very cringy, but you have to think of, for women, it goes far past that, because the ultimate for these people is violence and suppression, and women are an object. I heard all the time, a lot of them quote saying, I want one of those. Yeah. Like things like that. Yeah. They didn't want the woman, they didn't care the woman's name. They didn't care that it was a woman. I want one of those.
Elliot, you just made a point.
Well, what I had basically said was it stops being funny once you're the target of the violence.
Agreed.
And Elliot Rodger, in his manifesto, said, he acknowledged the fact that he wrote in his manifesto, I can't kill every woman in the world, but his hatred and anger toward them all was real.
Oh, yeah.
And he exacted that against innocent fucking people.
Yeah. Yeah. 6 people died because he hated women.
Yeah.
And more were on the list had he not been caught. Like, he had the whole sorority he wanted to murder.
Have you gone through the timeline of his?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I did too, and
I did dive into it. It was rough.
Like, he was driving around. At first, he was clipping bicyclists. I'm not even sure if he even knew if he was more mad at the women or the men that he perceived as the Chads that were getting these women. Because I think actually more of his victims were men.
Well, but I think that was more of a coincidence than
I agree.
a plan.
No, I'm not. Yeah. But he started off, I believe, killing 3 men. I think that was the start of it.
That motherfucker stabbed 2 of his roommates as they slept, and then stabbed a fucking innocent dude who was coming over to hang out with his bros. Yes. That's the kind of shitbird we're talking about here.
Yeah. He was driving around the neighborhood. Then he went to a convenience store. Mm-hmm. He was shooting at people. He
just at random, out his car window.
Yeah, he actually drove on the wrong side of the road so he could shoot at the people on the sidewalk as he was driving. It's just. Fortunately, I think he actually came across maybe an off-duty sheriff.
I don't know.
Either way.
I don't remember specifically. All I know is he offed himself, and I'm not mad at it.
No.
No.
He was in a shootout with police. I believe he got shot in the hip while he was driving around. He eventually, when he couldn't go any farther, he eventually offed himself.
We'll come back to this asshole.
Yes, the martyr of the incel.
The demigod.
Yeah,
the supreme gentleman.
Whose idea was to turn into the supreme god or whatever the fuck you wanted to be.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
But we never touched on, are these people shooting too high?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea, please.
Yeah, I would argue that a lot of this is based off of the entitlement. There is a lot of entitlement because they think women are less than and they think women are property. Why can't they own property? They have all of this. Why can't they own this property that is so unattainable to them? So, there should be no reason why. And like Elliot Rodgers' manifesto had it. Like, he was very clear, like, why don't these women like me? I have money. I have status. I have more money.
I have objects
I have
that people want. Yeah.
That they want. And so, he was like, that mentality is just permeates the incel community. Even if they are genetically disadvantaged, they have things. And women are magpies. We're attracted to things. Give us things.
Magpies. Look, there's some shiny tinsel in a tree.
Ooh, I want it. Diamonds? Where?
Magpies.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
Again, it's laughing because it's absurd.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna laugh because it's absurd.
So,
but that's understanding the danger of it.
Which I think goes back to kind of what we talked about a little bit ago. It's absurd because if you don't think that way, it's hard to not laugh initially at it because it's such a weird way to think about it.
It's like that uncomfortable laughter when somebody makes a really morbid joke about something, where you're just like, it's that. It's that.
Yeah, we'd be really good at dinner parties.
So what do you?
A work dinner party, Andrea and I would kill at. We're like,
What do you think about, like, do you think it's legitimately that they're aiming too high in terms of those that they should?
I don't even think it's one thing. I think it's 5, 6, 7 different things. And we've talked about this ad nauseum for the last couple of days, but shooting too high for sure. Encouragement, I think, is a huge one. Because, like we talked about, and honestly, social media, because it's easy access to have that encouragement now. Now you can find, like, if this was something like I joked around about, I was an incel for 18 years.
Right.
Now, if someone had told me, no, it's not that, it's because you're an incel, you're genetically dispositioned to that when I was 17 or 18.
It was.
Really?
Enunciate.
Really? You fucking asshole. Sorry.
Enunciate.
Let me start over. Back in 1994.
Picture it. Since Sicily, 1912.
Okay. Anyway, if someone had come up to me and said, no, it's not that. It's just you are genetically disposed. I'd be like, no, I'm not. It just hasn't happened yet. I haven't met a girl or girls don't, whatever. I mean, I'm a goofy kid. But now those people can now go to the internet, or they can go to Instagram, they can go to Twitter, and they can be like, oh, I'm struggling. All these people are struggling. Now I have someone to kind of belong to. I think that's another big factor, is that they now have encouragement to say, oh, and people don't want to take responsibility. Like, it can't be them. It's always someone else's fault.
You know what's funny is one of the things as I was researching this, reading posts, listening to podcasts, it amazes me how much they're into ranking people's looks from 0 to 10.
Yeah, it's
crazy. Oh yeah, they have to have that, like, the goalposts.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're like an 80s villain in a high school movie.
And by the way, so like we were talking about, are they shooting too high? I listened to a couple of incels talking on podcasts who they love to acknowledge the fact that they're not shooting too high. Like,
very much.
They want it to be crystal clear. Yeah. Hey, I'm not shooting for a Stacy. And this one guy's
just
like,
trying to get laid.
Yeah, this one guy's like, I'm talking to girls who I would say are a 0. What the fuck? What is Jabba the Hutt? What's the definition of a 0?
Well, who asked him? First off, who asked him for the rating? Like, who cares?
It's a justification for their extremism.
No. Yeah, it's not. No, I'm not going to evidence. I went to 0s. It's still not working.
Yeah.
Genetics.
Yeah, it's not
Fuck
me.
you guys.
Zeros don't want me. These guys are fucked, man.
Well, you know why? And we talked about this earlier. It's probably because of their approach. They're going, look, normally I wouldn't talk to you, but 6s and 7s are clearly occupied, so I'm...
You're near like a good 3 right now in this light.
Yeah, you're
so
a 3,
I mean,
yeah.
At least that's above 0. I don't know. Take that as a
If
compliment.
I squint, you're a 4. I don't know, but I mean, so where do you want to go? No? God damn it, I'm an incel.
I couldn't imagine the approach that I understand and have heard is just there's no approach. It's all a lack of social skill.
Very much.
And that's not their fault either. It's not their fault that they have severe anxiety, and it's not their fault they're on the spectrum somewhere. Mind you, a lot of this is self-diagnosed. And I am no way disparaging anyone who has legitimate mental illness or anxiety or is on the spectrum. That does not lump you in with this group of people.
Right.
Like, at all. But they like to have that as another pillar of their blame, is that they can't talk to women because of all these self-diagnosed issues. They don't know how to talk like a normal person. So still, women should just like them and respect this fact about them.
I'm a nice guy.
God, that literally makes me cringe. The word nice guy. Like, I can't even call people nice now. Isn't it amazing? It just feels wrong to say you're nice.
Isn't it amazing how they've taken a thing that I've heard, I don't know, 100 times in my life? He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. They've actually taken that term and made it about them.
Do you know why it's different the way you did it versus the way that they do it? You can't give yourself that title.
I give myself a nickname.
You can't that never stopped. Thank you so much.
You can't give yourself a nickname.
Yeah. For all those, and you know what? Fuck this incel thing. We're on this nickname podcast. You cannot give yourself a goddamn nickname.
Nickname logic. No, you can't.
Yes,
you cannot. No, you cannot.
It's like
it's
screaming for attention.
You can't. God damn it. Well, you can't. Really? Maybe this is a good time to take a break.
I'm not going to catch on.
Let's take a break. Let Patrick get this out of his fucking system.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Do either of you smoke? I know you don't smoke. You don't smoke?
No.
All right, thank goodness. Our last guest smoked.
Oh, I thought you wanted to smoke. I'm like, where?
No, I was thinking about our last guest was a smoker.
Dave.
And we had to keep taking smoke breaks.
Yeah.
Ugh. Stop smoking, people.
Excuse me, I consider that sexual harassment.
All right.
HR
well, that part was recording, but that's okay. We were talking about...
Hetty Topper from Vermont.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, man, if you're an IPA fan, I have a friend who lives in New England.
I'm so sick of IPAs.
She gives me all the good IPAs. They're awesome.
Where did you get it from?
This is The Alchemist, is the brewery in Vermont.
But where did you, did you pick it up locally? Or?
No, she buys it locally from the brewery and then brings it here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't get it shipped in or anything. I'm not that ritzy. I'm only ritzy like that for whiskey.
Oh, yeah. Well, whiskey, you have to be more particular.
Oh, man. My general whiskey?
Well, give me a couple of your greatest hits.
Maker's 46. I'm a big fan. I actually had Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door, the Tennessee.
Was it good?
Whiskey. Oh, it was awesome. The Tennessee Rye is awesome. It was worth the money I paid for it. It was actually one of the smoothest things I've ever had. It was great.
We were talking about local lack of social skills, which the two of you are exhibiting right now because you excluded me from your conversation.
No, we're actually exhibiting amazing social skills. You just couldn't keep up, so you have a lack of social skills. So why don't you shut your mic off?
Clearly.
Yeah, shut your mic off, go in the garage. We'll take it from there.
But that's what we were talking about before we went to break. And we have tripped around the subject. Let's just talk about Elliot Rodger, who has become the face of incel martyrism.
No, he is to them. Like for the extreme ones, and they claim that they don't propagate violence, and they claim they don't tolerate it. But they fucking do.
There are so many instances where they do. I mean, it's written all over every fucking forum I've been on.
Yeah, no, don't let them lie to you. The point is, Elliot Rodger, in my definition, is a domestic terrorist.
I would
was
agree.
A domestic terrorist. And there's a whole rant to be had about what terrorism translates to.
Let me ask you this. Is he definitely is in terms of what he did. That is domestic terrorism. I don't care what anyone says.
And he's an extremist.
Very much
adds to the formula.
Very much an extremist. Is I guess I'm trying to how to word it. I don't know if he knew what he was doing was going to turn into what it's become. I don't think he knew he was going to become what he has. He is. He's their martyr.
Yeah.
He's their demigod. He's their go-to. Like, this is the guy.
They call it ERing.
Yes.
They actually just literally shorthanded his name for acts of violence.
I hadn't come across that.
I came across that today. Is ERing is actually just
I found it twice.
shorthanding for the violence because he is that much of an important figure in the incel community.
So do you want to talk about his manifesto? We want to talk about the videos. I want to talk about both.
Where do you want to start? When it comes to Elliot Rodger, where do you want to start?
So the important thing I think to start with is in fact the manifesto.
Please.
Because the manifesto is the document that everybody can quote. It was the whole justification for his actions, and we don't often get that with people who are committing mass murder. We don't often understand what their motivations are. They just usually end up offing themselves before we can figure it out. So we start with, it was My Twisted World was the name of the manifesto. It's 141 pages long. I cited it in a paper. It was awful.
Your paper was awful?
Well, my paper was great, but the manifesto was awful.
I just want to make sure that we're clear that you're an A student.
Oh, I was. Okay. I graduated with a 3.64 in my master's program.
Congratulations.
Thank
Boring.
you.
Go ahead.
Nerd.
Tell us more.
Right.
We just lost half our audience.
Yeah, pretty much. So no, the manifesto basically breaks down his entire life. It's his life story, and it's dripping with this sense of entitlement. Because we know Elliot Rodger grew up rich. He grew up in California. He had everything he wanted. The shooting was committed out of a BMW. He was set. And because he had all of this excess, he had all of this ability to get whatever he wanted, that was immediately what should have brought women to him.
That's what made it worse.
Because that's what women did. Yes. Women, again, we're magpies. We want stuff. Give us stuff. So he had stuff.
Predictable. They're not really people.
No, we're not people.
Am I reading this wrong? I'm sorry. I'm still not sure what side I'm on.
Ooh, please make that decision soon.
Well, I think that's what made it worse. Is because he was described as Hollywood elite. His father was part of the Hunger Games movies. I think in his mind he's like, well, this is a cakewalk, right?
The life.
Yeah,
my dad is famous. My dad is famous. I come from money. This is easy. It's still not happening.
Yeah, no, and he couldn't reconcile the fact that he had everything and yet didn't have anything. And so that disconnect came obviously because of the women. It was the women's fault for everything. And when you read what he was writing and you hear what he says, it is just coded in this sense of entitlement. It is just, I deserve this because I'm rich, because I'm white, because I'm a man. Give me this, and that women aren't giving me this is unfair, and they deserve to be punished for it. You could sum up the whole thing in just that broad spectrum.
That's what's crazy is that 140 pages could be summed up in
2
3
sentences.
sentences.
And you
that's exactly what it is right there.
Yeah.
His entire, the way I read, I think I even sent him a text it's almost like he thought, I read, when I was reading the first couple of paragraphs, I'm like, does he think this is going to become a fucking movie or something? He's like, back when I was born, my upbringing was this. I'm like, fucker, why do you think that this is, I don't know. It's
an actual book.
It's so delusional. It really is. It's an actual book.
Well, no, it's an actual book in terms of length. And actually, another podcast host had brought up that I was listening to, why didn't he stop there? He could have just written revenge fantasy novels and just be done with it. He didn't have to go out and kill people. He could have just written it out on paper, all these things, where the hot Stacy would stop him before he commits a rampage.
Now, where in your, I guess, as you were reading it, when did this become a topic that you wanted to write about?
I was writing a paper about domestic terrorism as it's influenced by the internet.
Okay.
Because it's more broad than just the incel. There's also, you have to deal with the radicalization of people to the Nation of Islam and all this other stuff. So I got really interested kind of just how this internet has become a tool for radicalization and become a tool for the battle between free speech and hate groups and people who do propagate violence. So you've got your white supremacists, you've got your Dylan Roof type people.
They're connected in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the scary part is you start drawing the web together and you look like a conspiracy theorist. But I'm like, No, let's see. White supremacy, incelism ties in right with each other.
Very much.
So I got really interested in it because to me, it's morbidly fascinating. Because it's not something I can ever be a part of and will never be a part of because I'm a decent human being. And also I'm a woman.
You're a nice guy.
I'm a nice guy. I'm such a Becky.
You know what? You mentioned something, and actually, he and I talked earlier today. He came over. He's like, "I can't anymore. I'm done. I can't." And I was actually the exact opposite because of the morbid. I'm like, I can't stop.
It's so curious.
One video just takes me to another psychotic video, to another article, to another. I can't. But I wasn't joking when I said there could be like a 10-part series. We could do this.
We could
7,
talk about
8
this.
More times.
I could do like mini series on every person I have written down here. But Elliot Rodger is just his own episode. He's just the hottest of messes.
He has his manifesto, which was uploaded emailed
to his therapist. 2 therapists.
But, and I already know what you're thinking, Joe.
Yes.
That was after he already committed 3 murders.
Right.
He didn't email that shit like a day in advance. He had killed those 3 poor fucking dudes in that apartment.
Okay, then
went out to his car and his laptop, posted his video, which he recorded the day before, I gather, just listening to it.
Okay.
And emailed out that manifesto, and then thought he was going
to... Okay, then I think the video that I was watching was kind of misleading then, because that's not what it made it out to be. Because they were talking about... And maybe it's like the sensationalism of... Fuck it, I don't care.
Sensationalism.
Thank you so much, Becky.
Just tell me to answer the question. Is it with the good hair?
Becky with the good hair?
Is it Becky with the good... See, that's how
you get the reference?
It's Becky with the good hair.
No, I didn't get it.
You're not a pop culture guy. He's really into Paul Rudd, though. I don't know if you knew
that. I heard that.
Oh, you did?
I was like, of all people, Paul Rudd?
I didn't know.
Thank you. You are.
You can't.
Look, The 40-Year-Old Virgin's a great movie, but Paul Rudd was not what I was thinking of when I watched that film. It's like, Steve Carell and his standout role.
I know.
Super famous person. He's like,
Ant-Man.
I don't know, Ted Danson.
You can't ask somebody who isn't into...
I know, but you are not... Right. You are not a social media person at all.
Yeah.
And more power to you because you're smart.
Yeah.
You're smart to not be sucked into it right now.
You're shielded from a lot of that. I mean, this is caked all over social media.
So anyhow, what were you guys talking about?
I have no idea.
No, what were you talking about before you mocked me for Paul Rudd?
He was saying something about me being Becky.
Oh yeah.
No, we were talking about we had talked about that Elliot Rodger had committed murders before the manifesto went out.
I thought that the thing I read was kind of maybe it was out of order. It was being told out of order. I think they were trying to play up the angle of why wasn't this prevented. I didn't know that it was after he already did it.
But the question is
I think I actually sent that to you guys earlier.
The question is still relevant.
I agree.
This guy wasn't like going through life as a normal person. At all.
Nobody was away from him. His parents knew there was something wrong. People around him knew there was something wrong. They knew he was that weird kid. He was the awkward guy. He had therapists. He was diagnosed on the autism spectrum. Again, that doesn't automatically make you an incel at all. But he had that, and then he was treated for schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Even though they never formally diagnosed him with it, they still gave him mood stabilizers. Like, they knew this kid was a mess.
Yeah.
There is no excuse.
I think his father may have even been quoted, and I think he may have been quoted in an interview saying, I thought he might have been suicidal, but not homicidal.
And by the way, I don't know that that's his dad's fault.
Oh, I don't either. I'm not. Okay. I'm not at all.
I think that was the Barbara Walters interview.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, I'm not blaming him at all for that. I mean,
by the way, I'm not giving him a pass either.
No,
if you think your kid's suicidal, get fucking involved.
Agreed.
Get the fuck involved.
Pass them off to therapists. Be like, I'm going to be in your life now.
And by the way, therapy.
Do something.
You have to do the therapy thing, but you have to be there side by side. You can't just be like, I'm gonna go do my thing over here. Hey, best of luck.
No, you have to be involved. You have to be there and present.
You can't be like, well, he's going to therapy. What do you want me to do?
Right.
You got to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So he emails out the manifesto,
and then goes on a shooting spree.
All right. So what's that about?
So he goes on his shooting spree where his focus is primarily the hot girl sorority. It's
blonde girls.
It's the one that he determined blonde is a Stacy trait. Blonde has to be a Stacey trait. It's a big, full blonde hair.
He is obsessed with blonde girls.
He is.
And by the way, his stepmom, who he hated her guts, not blonde.
No.
His mom, who I don't know what part she played in his entire life. His parents are divorced.
Yeah.
She's not blonde.
I was waiting for you to say she was, and I was going to phone Oedipus and be like, all right, so we got some things. All
right,
we figured it out.
Okay, one down. Moving on. See, so this for me goes back to the Chad and Stacey thing. Because I agree. He was obsessed, and he mentioned a bunch of blondes.
Oh, my God, all the time.
To me, in my mind, I don't know what you guys think, there was a specific blonde that was that kind of...
There had to be a blonde that snubbed him.
Yes, very much. Maybe not all blondes, but there was one in particular that maybe pushed him over the edge, and maybe one that he constantly always went back to, but he brought that up a lot. Mm-hmm. The same thing with the Chad and Stacey thing. There's a genesis of that, and I think the blonde thing is the exact same thing.
Yeah, so that was his target. His target was the hot blondes. Mm-hmm. So it was the hot girl sorority. And so this is the part where he goes on his mad rampage, where he's in his car.
He's already murdered 3 people.
Murdered 3 people.
In the apartment
on the way to the sorority, and he's just shooting at random. You know, like we said before, he was driving on the wrong side of the road just to get at people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He just wanted he wanted to be mad. He wanted to be mad at people. It didn't matter at that point when he was going to the sorority if it was men or women he was shooting, because he was mad at everyone. He was mad at men because men got what he didn't have, and he was mad at women because women were terrible. So he that was his whole thing, was just, I'm going to just murder people. Now, you'll forgive me because my memory of it is really kind of fuzzy, mostly because I focused on the manifesto and not the actual shooting.
Please get this right or we'll edit you out.
Please edit me. Edit me out of the whole thing.
We'll correct you.
Oh, the whole timeline. Yeah, no, because I remember, like we had said before, too, because we did kind of hash into this, that he got into a shootout with the police. He was shot. He was apprehended, and then he blew his brains out, and thank God. But still, it boggles the mind a little bit to understand that this made perfect sense to him to do.
I had listened to a podcast where the night before he had, I think it was the night before, but anyhow, he was just turning 22, I think. So it was his birthday. And he said, look, if I go out tonight and I get laid, all this stuff is off the table. So he just went to a party. Like, he didn't know these people. He wasn't invited there. I don't even know like how he
expected that to work.
He did. And not, by the way, like, he found himself in scenario after scenario after scenario where he alienated other people to the point they were like, dude, you're a fucking asshole. Get the fuck out of here. Like, he tried to pick a fight with some dude who was with a blonde girl. He went up on a balcony, saw these kids party, and these other people came up. He was mad that the girls weren't talking to him. He didn't know them. He wasn't supposed to be there.
It didn't register to him. Like, that was the problem. It's like when you smell, you know that old phrase, like, if you smell shit everywhere you walk, check the bottom of your shoe.
I never heard that phrase, but that's
that's exactly how it applies. Like, it's you. If it's that many people saying you smell like shit, it's you.
You're right.
But I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that there is no self-realization in the incel community. There's nothing like that. If you go to a party and you get kicked out and no girl talks to you and guys mouth off to you because they don't want you talking shit to their girlfriend or whatever it might be, that's not your fault. That's everyone else's fault at that party. There is no self-diagnosis outside of, well, I'm an incel. That's the only thing that they'll accept. They won't accept.
They don't have the awareness. They don't have the self-presence.
They don't have that internal
monologue that says, boy, I might be making this weird. Maybe I should start with hello next time.
And I've done that. Maybe I should start with hello.
Right.
Not exposing myself and saying, fuck this guy.
Yeah, really.
It's just,
but I don't. Here's the thing: self-awareness. I literally just wrote that down.
Self-awareness.
Because I don't think that they're walking up to people whipping their dicks out.
Not necessarily.
I don't. But
let's not rule it out.
We already discovered
all of a sudden they have a line they won't cross.
Right, and that's it.
Sorry, I'm the asshole.
Hey, look. Whip my dick out, not acceptable. Murdering, hey,
totally.
Look, there's a reason.
I have a manifesto that justifies this.
But it does to me, come down to self-awareness, which to me goes back to what we started this whole conversation with about misogynistic behavior. Like, they don't even fucking know what they're doing.
No, they completely lack a framework that makes them wrong. They don't accept that as a reality. You know, it's like, I reject your reality and substitute my own. Their reality is that they are a permanent victim.
Yes.
It's permanent victimhood in a very specific facet.
So do any incels have self-awareness?
That's a good question. I don't spend enough time in the community to know, but, and this is just from my perusing today, it seems a lot of them waffle between this extreme, like, defeatism and this extreme self-awareness where they know they are the most hideous person in the world and nobody will like them and they have all these terrible things, versus like a complete lack of, maybe I'm acting like an asshole, maybe I'm making it weird. They lack like a social awareness.
Yes, I very much agree with that.
But internally, they're very internally aware that they are apparently just ugly and terrible. They don't see themselves as terrible in the sense that we see them. They see them as like they're a failure of genetics.
Yes.
But not like terrible as in they're a terrible
like they're
person.
A mutant. They're a mutant. You know, they're an oddity.
They're being ostracized by society.
They're an oddity of nature and it's beyond their control.
Let me ask the two of you this. What part, and think about this before you immediately react. What part?
Not really my thing, but go ahead.
I know it's not yours. But what part does society and social media own when it comes to that?
I think social media is a very big part of it. In my opinion, I really, really do. For a couple reasons. One is a lot of social media, at least from a female standpoint, this is not shitting on females because men do this just as much, but there's a lot of just female sexualization, I think, on Instagram.
It's all.
Instagram,
it's all.
Twitter, Facebook. It's pictures of women that... There are some people on Instagram who literally, their entire Instagram is pictures of their own butt.
Yeah. And it permeates every, like, subculture.
Yeah.
So you've got fitness where it's sexualized,
Yes,
beauty
much.
where it's sexualized, movie stars it's sexualized,
And it's
clothing
the same
it's
thing.
sexualized.
It's the same thing with
everything.
men. Because men have fitness pages where it's just them, just flexing.
Yeah,
and
just biceps,
doing
just back,
Remember
just
that picture
legs.
I sent you with that dude holding the cat for no reason?
Oh, yeah. I do.
Bicep flexing with
I
a
fucking
cat.
got it. It's hilarious.
Don't
And
do
I
that
do
again.
not understand.
I can't. But he brings up a good point in saying that, yes, it is because social media has this very strong presence of sexualization of women that they become objectified.
So let me ask you this question. And by the way, this is a serious, like, in-depth conversation. At what point does social media have a responsibility?
I don't like women. I don't like gays. I don't like, insert group here, versus the whole, I'm going to hurt that group.
So glad you brought this up because actually he and I have talked about this a lot.
This is a tough one. It's
See,
the absolutism of free speech.
for us, I don't want to speak for you. For me, whether I agree with it or not, I don't necessarily think that hate speech should be banned.
No, and I think you're right. It's one of
It's-
those
but
kind of like free flow of
as soon
idea
as
situations.
The thing that we always come back to a lot in terms of this is and as an example, just because it's one that's been in the news a lot, is the store that does not want to make a cake for gay people.
Yes.
Now, for me, I want that to be. I don't want them to be silenced, and I don't want them to be forced to make the cake. The reason is, I don't want those people to be hidden. I want to know that these people do not agree with gay people. I want to know that these people don't agree with Jews. Whatever it might be, I want to know that. I don't want that to be hidden for whatever reason or for whatever law. I want that to be out in the open.
You can vote with your money.
Yes, thank you.
You can.
Wow.
You get it.
Provide them
The free
business.
market takes care of that.
You get it.
If you know that there is a
I'm
restaurant,
very libertarian.
Okay.
hey, same, hey.
Yeah.
But if you know that there is a restaurant, coffee shop, whatever that openly says we do not agree with gay marriage or whatever,
Bye.
you don't go there.
Yeah, don't go.
But if you force them to serve everyone else, and now you don't know their beliefs, now you're patronizing a place that does not jive with your beliefs. I don't want them to be silenced. I want to know who that is.
I just had this happen with a big makeup brand where the lead spokesperson of that makeup brand made it very clear they will not be vaccinating their child And I was like, okay, well, I'm not buying your stuff anymore.
Same here. Stop
Because,
using our eyeshadow.
no, I'm not going to do it. I mean, it's great eyeshadow, but
Oh, dude, you have no idea what it does to my cheekbones.
why are you putting eyeshadow on?
I'm not. Damn it, Becky.
But no, it's just that simple fact of they made it very clear and they posted on social media that was the case for them. And I said, okay, I disagree with that. And I don't think that's a responsible thing to do.
You get to vote with your wallet. You say.
And I'm like, okay, well, your shit's expensive and I'm not going to buy it now. Yep. I'm going to spend my money on other expensive shit that's not you.
People think that they should be forced to do that no matter what. I disagree with that. I very much do. But I think the free market takes care of that. And I do not want to not know those things about businesses. I want to know if they don't support X, if they don't support Y, if they don't agree with this, if they think this about this. I want to know those things, so I want to know whether or not I should go there or not.
Now, does this tie in back into where we're at with this conversation? Is it because you want to know those things too for like where to avoid on the internet? Because, you know, you could have these groups that on the whole sound like they're good until you find out, oh, they don't like black people, like quietly. Or it's like maybe some like religious fringe group or something. Because that's I think where it gets to be kind of troublesome.
Agreed. It's harder to police.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to police on the internet, and you can't vote with your money so much.
You can't.
You can't tell people like you can donate to certain sites, but like
you can and you can't you can't as much as with like businesses.
You can vote with ad revenue. You can vote with clicks. But taking a place like Reddit, which is big thing, has always been like the free flow of ideas and been a very absolutist in their free speech until recently. You know, how do you express your displeasure other than just downvoting? You can click, oh, this person's being a shitty person, downvote, downvote, downvote. What does that do? The internet points they don't have an effect in real life.
That's a really good point, especially in terms of like take like a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop going to YouTube. You can still go to that channel. But how easy is it, like, say one of those gets shut down, you're like, okay, how hard is it to create a new YouTube channel? How hard is it to create a new website? We were talking about the ones that got shut down. Great. Another one just pops up.
Our incels is gone. Our brain cells pop right back there.
Exactly. The internet offers anonymity.
True.
And it's fucking easy.
And frustrating. To me, it's frustrating. The anonymity that you can have to spew a lot of these things. If you're so hardcore believe in these and you can't put your own fucking name behind
because
it.
That's why I don't get mad when people lose their jobs when they're outed as white supremacists. I'm like, okay, well, you've got your name behind your beliefs now.
Yeah. I actually really don't either.
I don't get mad.
I get a really big kick out of like when someone's like, oh, come on, it was just a joke. And I'm like,
no, it wasn't.
No,
don't lie to me.
No, jokes are funny.
Yeah, no, that wasn't funny. Sorry, ain't mad at it.
Andrea said it. Make the joke. That's fine. Deal with the repercussion.
Very much.
The formula is literally very that simple.
No one's saying you can't say it.
Just deal with the repercussions.
Your speech is free. Your consequences aren't.
Boom. Your speech is free. Your consequences aren't. And that's exactly right.
This girl went to college.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Too many times.
We're gonna take another break, and then we're gonna revisit because I don't smoke.
Do you guys want to take up smoking?
No. That's not even something I ever did. Like I was never like a smoker in like, well, that's different.
Yeah, no, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I was never a smoker and like everybody knows you just fucking did.
No one has any idea. The internet has anonymity.
This isn't the internet. It's gonna be
Where are we gonna put it?
We're gonna put it on the internet.
Be a telegram to all our
this
listeners?
Right now, as these
type this out.
As these little waves happen, that's not the internet. It's going to go on the internet. Do you have to leave?
Oh my God.
Will you stop?
Are you running a 10K?
That's great. That's great.
I'm looking at your watch like this.
It makes me nervous.
It's a tick. It's a nervous tick, I swear.
It's a generational thing, too.
It has to be. Yeah. That's a whole other discussion.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
All right.
Me too.
I can tell by the backwards hat.
I don't know why, but that was so funny.
That was super mean.
It was mean. It was. Hurt?
No, she's just an object.
Just the Becky.
Just the Becky.
All right, we'll come back to this and figure out where we want to go from here.
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking A. Okay. That's mine. Beer, whiskey. I don't really...
Yeah, no, beer was... Well, I was raised on brandy, which is weird. But my dad has very strong German heritage.
It's weird to be raised on
Do your
any
parents
booze.
listen to podcasts? Is there any chance they're going to listen to this podcast?
Only
Because
if I
I'm
send them the
recording
link.
this.
If I send him the link, he'll hear it.
Oh, we actually got to get a photo, and we're definitely going to tag you in it, too.
Yes.
That way any of your friends want to actually listen.
Oh, I'll repost app that. No,
Okay,
my dad would actually be very disappointed if I didn't sound good on this podcast because he was the electronic media production advisor.
For your dad's benefit, this is not going to sound good.
Sorry, Dad, we don't have your quality mics.
Yeah,
and if we're throwing out stuff, my dad was a lawyer.
my dad was a steel worker.
Steelers.
I was about to say it's Steelers. Wait, are we all?
I am a Steelers fan.
Because I'm a Steelers fan.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well.
Oh no, I've seen the Pittsburgh the Pirates at
right.
least. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I know he's gonna hang out with me during football season.
Yeah.
Because it's like you, me, and like Lindsay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's us.
My daughter's middle name is Rooney.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I almost wish I had a kid just to name it something. I'll just stick with naming animals. We'll name animals after things.
Okay. We got off topic a couple times, but that's okay. That's what we do here.
Well, that's when you can just edit out, right? You just
No,
cut
we
that
don't
out.
edit
We don't really
anything.
do that.
Yeah, we don't
no.
do
We
that
don't
at
have
all.
the patience to learn that.
But I do want to talk about some more women hating incel murders.
Oh, well, good. I have a list.
Okay.
As we all do.
Well, actually, surprisingly, one of them that I don't believe got a whole lot of media press actually kind of surprised me. So we actually had one this year. This one actually did get a lot of media
The
press.
Toronto van guy?
We had the Toronto van guy. Yeah,
Okay.
we had Alex. Let me see, Minassian, which I think is how he's Canadian. Sorry, I love Canada. I love everything, but
We
I
don't have any
know how to
listeners
pronounce
there.
things.
We do have some in Michigan, though. By the way, we love to show them love, so just say
Pops
hello.
to Michigan.
I mean, hey, I have nothing. I have no qualms against Michigan. I'll be there soon because there's a few concerts like I need to go to that are in Detroit.
Such as? I don't care.
Lily Allen's gonna be
Oh,
there.
Lily Allen.
I know, but hang on.
No, I like Lily Allen.
She's gonna be there. I think the Gorillas are gonna be there.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry. The girls are gonna be in Chicago, but Lil Dicky's gonna be in Michigan, and I'm ready for it. Lil Dicky's hysterical.
Okay.
That's a whole off
Are
kind.
you getting a Taylor Swift vibe?
I hate Taylor Swift.
I was asking Patrick.
Okay,
I think I was not going to say yes when she responded that way.
All right, fine.
No, I actually-
Agree, disagree.
All right, so
Yeah.
Toronto van guy. What was the name again?
yeah, Alex Minassian, and his incel rebellion.
Oh.
Oh, buddy, this guy is a mess. So he ended up with 10 people that he killed.
He did end up with 10?
Yeah, I think that was the death count that I got from his rampage with the van. He worshipped Elliot Rodger.
Yeah.
He thought Elliot Rodger had it all right. So my understanding of Alex Minassian is he was essentially the quintessential nice guy. And when I say that with the huge air quotes. The nice guy.
She did do air quotes, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I saw her.
Yeah,
Second.
I got proof, guys. And it's funny because I'm gonna say that and people are gonna listen. They're gonna go, I know exactly what she means. As soon as she said nice guy, I know exactly the kind of person she's talking about.
I'm also a nice guy. Fuck.
Cringe. So yeah, he propagated the idea of the incel rebellion, which is actually kind of an undercurrent idea of some incel communities. They see themselves, and this is really interesting, they kind of see themselves as a political system. They see themselves as a repressed political class, almost. I've actually heard them compared to like the bourgeoisie and the proletariat and the communists, and I'm not going to pretend I know anything about communism because I don't. But they have that kind
It's
of
Russian.
like, I got that. I got as far as communism is Russian.
Cool.
But
So we're all caught up.
yeah, nope, that's about it. But they have this idea that in order for them to succeed, there needs to be a class rebellion, which means these quote unquote beta guys, which since I know we didn't go into this earlier, it's like alpha, beta, omega situation. Beta guys are the normies. They are the weak guys who are easily manipulated by women. So Alex Minassian's thing about the incel rebellion is basically another shorthand for the beta uprising. It's for the men who are in the quote-unquote beta class to uprise against the chads It sounds like this epic battle that's about to happen, like Game of Thrones. But, like, no, that's really what he thinks needs to happen. And what a lot of incels think needs to happen is that there needs to be this mass uprising against the Chads and the Stacys. Because there's clearly more betas, there's clearly more incels than there are Chads and Stacys. So it's just a numbers game now. It's going to be a whole overwhelming situation.
Okay, I want to stop you there. And this is exactly why Joe and I, when we went from funny to this isn't funny in 10 minutes, is exactly what you just said. There are enough of these motherfuckers that if they legitimately wanted to do something like this, they could and cause a real fucking problem.
Yeah, they absolutely could.
Schools, businesses, neighborhoods, communities.
Yeah, if they all decided to band together one day and just have like one annual mass shoot-off.
Well, it's kind of like what we kind of talked about, I don't know, 40 minutes ago. There isn't a stereotypical incel. Like an incel is a person that kind of lives in this income and this type of community. It's fucking anyone. It can happen at any time, anywhere.
Yeah, it's
what
just
they
a
want.
terminology for somebody who's not having sex and they want to be having sex, but they're not. That's literally all it means. But they also don't think women can be incels generally because
that's a big question.
Okay,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. I'm just letting you know women can't be incels.
So are you an incel if you just want to have sex and it's not happening because...
Like
that's
today?
A fake cell.
Like right now.
Because if you've had
that's
sex
a fake
before,
cell. She's right.
If you've had sex before, but you're just in a dry place, that doesn't count.
No, she's right. Like, and by the way, they will fucking ostracize those motherfuckers from
How dare you get laid?
Yeah,
That's
like,
exactly it.
You think you're one of us, you fake cell.
Fucking normie.
You fake cell
Fucking fake cell.
Normie
You don't know what it's
Chad.
like to never get laid.
Pretty much, yeah. You guys are pretty spot on, and it's kind of creepy.
Well,
Joe.
I mean, we do a lot of research.
That's fair. Actually, no, I know you guys have done actually a great deal of research, as have I. So, A+. A+ on your study, boys.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. See, this is a really good podcast.
So, anyhow, Alex, April of this year, literally 3 months ago.
Yeah, literally just
took a white rider van. I remember when this happened.
Yeah, because I remember reading about it because, of course, I read this kind of thing. And I was both flabbergasted and terrified.
Yeah.
Because it's not as though I don't already walk around. This is, again, N=1, but I'm sure a lot of people share this with me. With a kind of like low lingering anxiety that if I'm in a public place, somebody at any point could pull out a gun and start shooting. We kind of live in a world where that's been happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already a back brain, like, should I be ready to duck and cover at any point?
Yes.
But then you have people like this Alex Manessian who's like, all hail the supreme gentleman. That's an actual quote and I hate it. Elliot Rodger, and he's going on this manifesto that's literally just, I hate women and women deserve to die. And that's where this reconciliation as being a woman, going on these sites, going on these message boards and reading this and understanding that could mean my death.
Yeah.
If somebody goes off in downtown Cleveland,
Yep.
somebody decides, hey, you know what? I hate women. Pulls out a gun, starts shooting at us, and I just happen to be in the wrong place
You
at the
happen
wrong
to
time.
be walking by or in the same restaurant or whatever.
Yeah, I'm dead.
You've done nothing wrong, but because you're a woman.
I exist as a woman,
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
dead. And that's why it stops being funny.
So here's a post Alex Manessian had. Private Manessian Infantry 00010. So,
oh, yes, because he was part of the Canadian military, but later discharged.
Wishing to speak to Sergeant 4chan, please. And then he gives another call number. The Incel Rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. All hail the Supreme Gentleman, Elliot Rodger.
Ouch. That sound you heard was my eyes rolling so far back in my head that I think I disconnected a nerve. It's actually painful to hear stuff like that because you understand, like, it sounds absurd. Who thinks of supreme gentlemen and think that's a real thing? And that's just not funny.
Yeah.
A mass murderer is a supreme gentleman.
You know, because, and if you
By the way, that motherfucker put that on LinkedIn.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That was his LinkedIn post.
Oh. And if you live on the internet, as I tend to do, you hear gentlemen, anytime you hear the word gentleman, it's kind of a trigger for nice guy. it's always a trigger because that's kind of the joke. That's the absurdism, is that men who self-refer as their gentlemen are usually the guys who aren't getting laid because they're just so good and pure, and all these women just want to deal with bad boys and chads and whatever. So, like, gentlemen already triggers for people in my kind of generational grasp. They're already sitting here like, oh, gentlemen, ha, ha, ha. But this context is he's literally saying, Elliot Rodger had it right. Elliot Rodger killed people. I'm gonna kill people. That was the equivalency.
And by the way, what I had seen in their little little social media forums, whatever the hell you call them, they encourage one another to kill themselves.
All the
They're
time.
like, dude, you should fucking do it, but don't just kill yourself.
Kill everybody else with you.
Go to a daycare, shoot them all up, and then shoot yourself. Get the name out. That was a real fucking thing that somebody said. Go shoot up a kindergartner.
Yeah, it ties into this glorification of the purpose. It's that idea that if you bring a name to the concept, you know, more people will pay attention and more people will understand the struggle of the incel. Because look at what's happened, all this violence and terror that's happened because of incels. Well, maybe we should be nicer to incels. Maybe that'll stop all the violence.
Fuck them.
God, it's infuriating.
It really is. It's super frustrating. And this is why earlier today when I walked up to you, I was like, I can't anymore.
Yeah, you just can't.
Because the rabbit hole goes deeper and deeper and deeper with these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's in reverse
Who else do you
order.
have?
I've got Chris Harper Mercer. He was the Umpqua Community College shooting. He had the similar motivations as Roger. He left behind some rambling document. I haven't been able to get a hold of it, but it concerned his status as a beta. So he recognized himself as not superior.
Okay.
He recognized himself as somebody who was not dominant and not going to get women because he wasn't forward. And this is the language of pickup artists. This is the language of people who really subscribe to the red pill doctrine that women run the world and that men have to renegotiate and they have to manipulate and they have to have this whole new game plan.
It's so hard for us.
Yeah, it's so hard for you. You straight white men, I'm so sorry. My feelings. I feel so bad for you.
It's so hard to be a guy now. I mean, just with just everything that just keeps on happening. I'm just...
And you're blamed
you know
for
what?
everything.
Fuck
it's all
you,
your
Becky,
fault.
for even coming to this male-dominated house and inflicting us with your bullshit feminism
with my bullshit feminism. So yeah, we already have
your roasty bullshit.
Right, my roasty bullshit. Apparently, hey man, I'm not, no judgment.
I mean, it's just. I
don't slut shame. We don't slut shame here. Slut shaming is bad.
It's just delusion, just at like to the 10th power. It's
is
fucked up.
It is, and so you have this guy like Chris Harper Mercer who had this idea that he was not going to be superior, and he was upset with this idea that he could never transcend to be an alpha. He could never be a dominant man who just made women do what he wanted them to do. Because the pickup artist game and the red pill game is all about manipulation. It's all about manipulating women. Like, the black pillars don't do that. The red pillars do. They think that they still have power. The black pillars are like, we don't have power, so we're just going to hate women. Red pillars are like, but we do if we just treat women like the biological creatures that they are.
The key word in everything you said there is power. Why is even power the thought? Why do you have to have
people?
Why do you have to have power? That's the thing. We don't have power. Why do you need that power? Just talk. Just have a conversation.
No, they have to have the power. They have to be in control because and this ties into a whole bigger issue of masculinity and societal concept that we're not going to get into. But the point of it is they have subscribed to the gender roles that men are in charge. And that women should not be in charge. And that any woman who is in charge, and that we see the world for what it really is after taking the red pill, where women are in charge, well, that's not okay.
Yeah.
We can't have this. There's even, and I don't know how deep dive you went into this, there's even a whole group of women who subscribe to this. There are red pill women.
None, but I need to hear about this.
I actually even looked for incel women to see...
No,
this is women. I need to hear about this.
It's kind of an antithesis to feminism. There is a subset of people who are red pill women who just basically say, "Hey, I am 100% fine with being a housewife. I'm 100% fine with being subservient. I'm 100% fine with this. And how dare women go out and try to be independent and try to fight for this? Like they are so brainwashed into this gender role of what they should be as a woman.
How does that happen?
A lot of reasons. There could be moral upbringing, there could be religious upbringing, there could be societal upbringing, depending on where they grew up. And the thing is, a lot of people associate the concept of feminism with this idea that all women should be liberated, bra burning, and angry, when in reality it just means the freedom of choice. And we don't have the freedom of choice, we want the freedom of choice. And there's nothing wrong with being a woman and choosing to be the woman who's in the kitchen, to be the woman who stays at home with the kids, to be the woman who wants to be subservient. Nothing is wrong with that. But we have this idea, and that's where red pill women come from, is that all feminists are out to make sure all women are liberated. And so you've got this group of women who are like, no, the red pillars are right. I want to be told what to do. I want to be protected. I want to be in the arms of a man. I want a man to tell me how I should live my life. Feminism should not be concerned with this, and we should say, hey, that's your choice, that's fine. Yep. But again, it's the vocal extremists and the vocal minority who are like giving feminism the name of bra-burning, angry man-haters. So that's what the red pill women think all feminists are.
Red pill women will never have a loud enough voice to impact anything.
No, it's a very small subset of people, but it still exists.
And it's a shame.
And it's surprising to me. It always is surprising to me that there are women who hate themselves enough for that. Because that's, to me, all that says is I hate my gender. I hate who I am. I hate what I was born into. And I'm sorry. I'm very sorry that that's the situation they're in. I respect their right to choose what they want as far as their life is concerned, but once it starts trying to affect other people's lives and they start trying to bring other people down and abuse other people, that's not where it goes.
Right.
That's not okay.
I didn't hear anything after bra.
Oh.
Did you guys say more?
Well, did you hear the word burning?
It's funny because I got more.
I saw you. Don't try to hide it.
I got more in tune.
Andrea got 70% of that beer in her mouth.
I tried to get a nice microphone.
It's funny because I have it. We've talked about this. Yeah. I have a daughter.
Yeah.
She's 5. Every door that gets kicked in today is one less door my daughter has to, twist the handle and walk in.
Fight for it.
She didn't have to do it.
It's already been fought for
so,
her.
we
have birth control today because of people like my mom.
Right. So this red pill woman thing, that infuriates me.
Yeah.
Because it's no. Don't do that shit.
Understand what choice is. You have choice.
Yeah.
And if you want to stay at home, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They think it's been demonized and it hasn't. People have not demonized this idea of the woman who stays at home to take care of the kids. That is not something to be ashamed of. Motherhood, womanhood, that is hard fucking work.
Yeah.
And most women respect that. We look at that and we're like, okay, cool. You are working your butt off to take care of your family. A+. But yeah, we get a whole subsect of women who seem to think that the red pill ideal of that men are in charge is the ideal, and that should be how it is. And a lot of them do have a very strong religious background for this. And I'm not here to question anybody's religion or however they were raised. I know what mine is, but I don't believe in that. But yeah, I know, and I respect that a lot of them were raised with the idea that women are made from the rib, and so they are meant to be at the side of and subservient to. Okay, cool, fine, whatever you want to believe. Don't start telling me that that's how I need to live my life.
Right.
I'm so glad you believe that women were made from the rib, because that's what I believe too. You mentioned something about the women staying at home, things like that, because I've heard people actually have issues with that. I've never actually
there are people who do. There are people who think, and again, it's an extremist. It can be an extremist viewpoint on the feminism spectrum. Is that they're saying that all women should be liberated and they should not have to do this and they should not want to do this because they just don't know. They just don't know what freedom is. They just don't know what liberation is. They just don't know what being a feminist is. That's not true. They have every right to choose their kids over everything else. They have every right to choose their husband over everything else. If that's what they want to do, feminism as a concept, and this is a whole other episode, feminism as a concept.
Wait, did you just invite yourself back?
I did not.
God damn it.
Who do you think you are?
I don't even know if anyone's going to listen to this.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Wait a second.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, 2 people are going to listen
We're
to
trying really hard.
Actually, no. Like I said, I've commended you. The fact that you even had me on here. You can edit this out. I'm just saying.
We're not going to.
We're fucking full on
They're going to just put me on blast.
Andrea who?
The point, the long and short of it is that feminism as a big broad topic is too deep to get into when we're focusing on incels. But the point is, there's extremists in every single umbrella group, and
they're linked.
Yeah,
they're
and
linked.
They all are. But extremist feminists versus extremist red pill women, it's just it's all one example past the other. It's not the majority of things. It's like we brought up with the child support.
Yeah.
It's not the majority of things. It's they focus on the one story
they find the ones that work for their cause, and then they turn that into the rule.
So what else about incels have we not addressed that we want to make sure we address?
Well, for me, one thing is, what is the, and this is pure speculation and opinion, what is the future of this?
That's a great question.
I don't want it to keep going, but I know right now, we have a lot more awareness of it. We have a lot more advocacy against it. We have a lot more understanding of what it means and what it is than we used to. And we see very prominent acts of violence related to it, which makes it a problem. We have the Southern Poverty Law Center, who has classified certain groups as hate groups because of their extremist, violent beliefs against women. But that's not enough to stop the rhetoric. It's a matter of being aware of what it is and understanding where it's coming from. And oh my God, I want to say, I want it to go away, but it's not going away.
Well, all right, so kind of a follow-up to that, though. You said, stopping the rhetoric. So how do you stop the rhetoric?
You don't engage with the rhetoric. You do not, there's this culture of shaming to it, which has its own merit in the sense that, we're bringing to light the extremist views. And we're showing, look how crazy this guy is. He thinks that women should be in forced breeding programs. But it also shows the very real, scary rhetoric that these people believe and identifies them as scary. And then we have, in doing this with the screenshots and showing the receipts, we get identities of people. We get identities by their screen name. People can search them. People could dox them. I'm not advocating doxing. I'm saying that this information is available and people have done this before on both sides. We should not be doxing people because that is a terrible practice.
You know what worries me the most about Joe's question is these aren't dumb people.
No, they're not. They never have been.
They're not policed well enough to prevent it. I could absolutely see enough of these people getting together and kicking off a legitimate, what they consider to be a rebellion on the anniversary of something.
A simultaneous attack.
That's exactly right. Today's the day that
Elliot Rodger killed a bunch of people in 2014. Let's
That's
go
exactly
ahead
right.
and or this Alex Manessian, or George Sodini, or Mark Le Pen, or George Henard. I have this list of names of people who have all killed on behalf of hating women. And so, it's a very real threat. But it's kind of what do you do about ISIS when they're radicalizing people on the internet? How do you stop that when you still have people who are
it's how
driving?
Do you stop an ideology or a belief, which is that's not.
And misogyny, we touched on in the very beginning. Misogyny is not new. This is just a new way to express it. This is new words for it.
And
this is new gathering places for it.
It's a new way to express it. It's a new way that's getting traction and support, which I think is
a lot of support.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of support.
And not to go into another podcast topic.
Might as well. She already fucking invited herself to another one.
Right.
You don't have to invite me back.
We'll probably definitely have you back.
Just saying.
But the problem is we now live in a society where we love labeling shit.
Yes, and we break it down into such minute category that everybody wants to be completely unique. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with identifying with a community or group of people as a whole. But the problem is everybody wants to identify with, they want to be the top of that community somehow.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying you have specific things, but as somebody who is a card-carrying member of the LGBT community, I get lost. And that's just an example. It's we have labeling and labeling and labeling, and how much division does that actually give us versus how much unity does that actually give us? When you're one thing versus another thing, it's at what point do you get to unify? You don't, because you're in your special silo over here, you're in your special silo over there. And that happens in the incel community all the time. there's the incels as a whole and an umbrella, which is a dangerous group. But then you've got the ones who are the super incels. That's not a technical term, but the ones who think that they're having it worse than everyone else. Versus the ones who have maybe talked to a woman before and suddenly they're privileged.
Right.
And that's where it gets dangerous.
It's incredibly dangerous.
Extremism is dangerous. So,
yeah.
I mean,
surprising no one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because being extreme in your beliefs is bad. Usually.
And if this is viewed as anything other than that, then you're just not paying attention, or you didn't read the entire article, quite frankly. Or you didn't read the comments, you didn't read the thread, you didn't read the forum.
This is scary fucking shit.
Extremism.
You can go to any thread on any social media forum that involves anything that involves women empowerment and watch just it descend into chaos. It will descend into chaos 100% of the time, because there will always be some man and then some incel and then somebody else who's just completely derailing the whole thing, who's completely making it about them, who's completely insulting the poster. There's always going to be that immediate response of violence. And it may not be outward violence, but it's going to be violence with words. It's going to be attacks. The whole concept underneath their brain is that this person does not deserve this attention. And so I'm going to take it back and I'm going to say how terrible they are. And that's going to be about me. And I'm going to take that power back. At the end of the day, it boils down to the power struggle. And it always has and it always will.
Yeah. That's sad. It is sad. And I don't mean like sad like we should be empathizing with this group of people, because
we should never empathize with them.
They need to get their heads out of their asses. It's sad that the rest of us,
their parents' basement.
It's sad that the rest of us are walking around as innocent fucking targets.
Very much.
And we shouldn't be acting like they're
misunderstood.
Which is what
we all are for any extremist group. The problem with this extremist group is that these are sprinkled all over the U.S. And, I mean, most people don't really know.
And they think they have a background. They think they have, because they can use science terms or they can quote some base philosophy or some base sociological concept, that they have the right to feel this way because something Carl Jung said, or Maslow's hierarchy of needs, justifies what they should be having.
I wonder if that makes it more dangerous than religious extremism.
Oh, very much it does. I think it does, yes.
I think the two could be on a very even playing field.
I think they're on an
because the Bible gives a lot of justification for a lot of bad shit.
Thing about the Bible, and you and I have kind of talked about this too, is that Catholics, a lot of Catholics, and I was raised Catholic, is that Catholics are fucking fantastic about ignoring shit in the Bible. They just, I don't think it's something that a lot of them that they very much pick it. A lot of them do. I'm not saying all of them do. I'm saying a lot of them do. The reason I think that this may be more dangerous than any type of religion is because this goes across all religions. You don't have to be a certain religion to believe this. You can be any religion. You cannot care about religion.
You can be any race. You can be any religion.
Religion. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's not relegated to one subset of a religion.
You can only be a man.
Well, that part.
Well, unfortunately for you,
okay.
There's only unfortunately there's a lot of men out there.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna wrap this up with the big question.
Okay.
Can women be incels?
According to them, no.
According to who is them?
According to incels, and according to the general population of male incels, no. It can't be true. Because anybody is willing to fuck something with a vagina. That's the logic. That's literally all there is if you have a vagina, you're privileged.
I think as of right now, no. But I think 100% women can become them, because I didn't think men could become this.
Yeah.
So I don't see why women can't either. But it could just be like a new subset of incels. Because right now, she's absolutely right. Andrea's right. Based on the way that they believe, the reason that incels exist is because women are garbage and they're objects and all this. So it's going to have to change everything. But I can't say that it can't happen and that this can't grow, because I didn't see this coming.
Surprise!
Yeah, surprise is right.
Look what we've been living in for the last 5 years.
And isn't that the fucked up thing? Like, we just learned about this.
I know!
This started in 2014. We fucking fumbled across it when we were talking about, I don't know,
I was going to make
circus accidents and dating.
I was going to make a TV show about incels.
Yes, we thought it was funny, and then we just kept talking.
And then you're like,
oh
wait,
funny.
people have died, and you're like, oh, it's not funny anymore. Yeah, it hasn't. It started as cringy, and it's never been funny to us.
Yeah,
it's been uncomfortable. It's been awkward, and it's been something to mock in some ways because that's what gives us some ownership of it. But it's never been really...
Actually, I'm glad you said that. So Joe and I were talking last week when we were talking about this. Joe was like, what we should do? We should go... There's an incel dating website, by the way, app.
I want to do this.
And Joe was like, we should create a login and go on there. I was like...
Photo.
Right.
Wait.
Tell her that.
Nose down. Just do nose down.
We would only use your email, cell phone, and address.
I got this. I'll give you a selfie from nose down. They all recognize me. We'll make sure no tattoos are involved.
But what I said to Joe is like, you can't. Because most of these people feel like to me that they're one really bad experience away from
a bad experience for everyone else.
From on my list here,
getting a rider van and driving
yes.
into traffic.
Yeah, and it's a terrifying concept to have to like weigh on you to sit there and go. It's only a matter of time before somebody thinks I'm in the wrong for existing.
Yeah,
so, you know what the this kind of ties into because I've been on a lot of forums the last couple of days, just kind of especially today. Getting ready, and there were parts of the forum. One of the forums was, did you dislike incels before you became one? And it was actually a very interesting one to kind of read because there were some on there that were just people that were just sad. Yeah. They weren't mad. They weren't anything. But like you would read one of them that I read was just like, you know what, this, and that. At the end of the day, I really just wish for a partner. And I'm just really sad.
Some of them are just sad.
The comment right below that was, it's not anything you're doing wrong. It's women. You should band with us. That person that is just sad and just doesn't understand what's going on, just really kind of unhappy.
They just want something to reach out to.
They're going to get sucked in by the comment right below them.
And that's the sad part. And that's the part with like that plays into like the mental diagnosis and the social issue diagnosis. Like, it's so sad because some people who would not otherwise be incels are just lonely and desperate and isolated enough that they don't see any other option. They don't know where else to go. This is the community that will accept them. I actually took a screenshot. I thought I'd never become a person that I am now, but after 5 years of trying to get a girlfriend and never getting anywhere, I realized life is just not meant for any of us. That life is just not meant for any of us. I've come to the point where I dream and wish of one thing, a lover. It's just really sad. That was it. No, and that sounds like somebody who's just sad. They don't know how to talk to people. The comment right below that was almost recruiting them into this incel movement, or rebellion, if you want. Meanwhile, I have screenshots about how they're justifying that women who are saved from rape by an incel automatically need to give that incel sex. I have a whole conversation. My God. You gotta be kidding. About that. No, it's right here. Elliot fucking Roger, the day of his birthday or day before his birthday, whatever, he was appalled that he was getting into all these altercations and that women weren't rushing to his defense. I just dismissed a text from you. I'm so sorry. No, that's fine. No, it's okay. I'm Nick. Sorry. It's okay. He'll be all right. So this mentality doesn't surprise me. That's a real fucking thing. They don't understand society. I also they don't get it. They're very racist. Yeah. By the way, that ties in a lot. I was surprised by that. I honestly was. And you know what? I was not. I only because it's that comment that I read just like a couple minutes ago really kind of resonated with me because I think it's a lot in terms of like the neo-Nazi. Sorry, the same thing like the neo-Nazi thing, which I think we found there are a lot of ties and similarities to that. Is that I think a lot of times people in those groups can prey on people that are maybe not confident or very, very lost and suck them into that world. Yeah, they're vulnerable. That's why I think that's why I was actually not surprised at that. But that's just me. Yeah, and then you get things like people being like, well, I saved you from being raped, so now you owe me sex. Here comes this. Nope, it's a whole thing. And it's just like, you're welcome. As soon as you feel a mote of sympathy, you're like, well, never mind. Going on to the next. Oh, my God. I want to be a good person. I want to be a sympathetic person. I want to be a nice guy. I am a nice guy. I want to be an understanding human being and recognize that people are coming into insultdom from a place of hurt, but I can't. And I think some do. I can't anymore. I want to think that some do. I do. Like, again, that comment, that was from
11 o'clock today.
Yeah.
I've had it all day, and I've been thinking about it all day.
Yeah, somebody's really sad, and somebody feels really
It
alone.
can get manipulated into this
into just being
nonsense.
like, hey, by the way, it's all women's fault, not yours.
Yeah. And then who knows? Maybe this person, because they're so disenchanted, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? You're right.
All of a sudden, like, you know what? I didn't think about that. I thought it was
I've always
something
thought it
I
was
was
me.
doing. It's fucking everybody else. It's fucking all these goddamn women.
Nope. And that's how it starts. And that's...
And then it becomes...
Here we are. Here we are with 45 people dead because women are the fucking worst.
It's just, you said something about 7 minutes ago that has been bouncing around in my brain and I can't stop thinking about it. Somebody decides for you that day that you don't belong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're all just fucking, dude, we walk every goddamn morning to go get breakfast. Every morning. There could be a white rider van or something barreling toward us. We're minding our own goddamn business, thinking about what breakfast sandwich we're about to get.
But hey, have you guys had seen women before? You're done.
Exactly.
That's all that you saw.
Somebody's
women with your own 2
torpedoing
eyes.
toward
Bye.
us. That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
That's a possibility. What's said? That's a possibility.
That's these people in Santa, wherever it was that
Is Santa, or I'm sorry, is it Isla Vista?
Isla Vista.
With,
Isla Vista.
Isla Vista with
they weren't doing anything. They
No.
were riding their
No, they were
bicycles.
just fucking
They're trying to
shopping.
enjoy their day.
Some dude's getting a candy bar, gets shot through a window.
Well, he shouldn't.
I mean, didn't they just foil a terrorist plot downtown?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
it's we're not a target.
Yeah.
The only reason that I am very much not against people who keep saying slash the military budget, I'm like, nah, let's keep that going.
Yeah, I'm
We have the
Let's
Coast
very
Guard
much-
right here.
Let's very much keep that going. That shit just happened on the street, so
Let's
it's
keep that
working.
here.
I'm fine with that. Slash
Yeah.
education. No one takes that seriously anyway.
So yeah, that's my piece. We got into, I think, literally everything I wrote down
I'm
about
glad we did.
because I had a lot about just the mental health aspect versus radicalization. We had the sexual vending machine concept going here. We had domestic terrorism. We had dehumanizing of women. We had the social sciences.
All the classics, yeah.
Yeah, no, we had, I think, everything that I pretty much was like, hey, these are points we should probably talk about.
Well, I'm glad we did, because again, when he and I originally did this, it was, again, it turned into like, fuck, we really should do a lot
No,
more research
and
on
I'm
this.
as a woman, like, I'm very proud of you for coming to the realization that this isn't a joke. That yes, we've had a lot of things to laugh about and a lot of like snide commentary, and we've had a lot of things where we can make light of. But the fact of the matter is that the reality for a lot of people is that this rhetoric affects their lives, and that they encounter this every day in some way, shape, and form. And they have every right to be scared, and women have every right to be scared. And even men who aren't even doing anything have every right to be scared because you're not incels.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a couple of things. One, for sure, I think that we definitely recognize that probably not even right away. It's just not the way that he and I think and the normal people think. And then
it's not. It's been a learning experience for a lot of men in my life.
And we very much needed to him and I not talk about it ourselves. We needed a woman's perspective on it.
Hi.
And everyone else we asked turned us down, so we came to you.
Well, I'm so glad.
So glad
as the last choice,
we're so glad everyone else turned.
You saved the
us
best
down.
for last.
But we do appreciate you coming
myself
on.
that.
For sure.
I really appreciate it because I really do appreciate a platform to talk about something that actually does very much bother me and something I pay a lot of attention to.
Well, you
more
should.
than I
I'm
should,
glad
but I do.
you gave us a lot to think about too.
And
there's a lot.
There is. And in all honesty, I hope that people that listen to this that have no idea what an incel is,
come talk to me.
Literally understand that we're in a fucked up world.
Yeah.
It's not just as bad as you see on the news. It's bad in ways you don't understand.
Yeah, stop watching Fox News. There's other shit out there that you need to worry about. But again, thank you for coming on. And I'm going to take a shot in the dark that you're probably going to be on again.
Well, if you'll have me. I would happily come on and talk about. I'm happy to be a women's viewpoint on a lot of things. I don't speak for all women. I speak for myself as a woman.
Well, next one we're probably going to talk about monster trucks, which I understand you're really into.
You could talk about maybe weightlifting, and I'd be into that, but not monster trucks.
Weightlifting?
I actually am into weightlifting, but not monster trucks.
Yes, let's take that offline, and you can lift some stuff around.
All right.
Yeah, sure. I'll lift some furniture. It'll be fine.
So I think we killed this topic
for sure.
By the way, we also basically just scratched the surface of it too. To be perfectly honest.
There's so much more to go.
There are people that have
about. There's so many holes you can dive into on Wikipedia and on Reddit.
We could do an entire podcast just on the manifesto and the videos.
People have, and so we shouldn't repeat that because there's already podcasts out.
And I legitimately did want to talk about people that have left the incel community because they do have this moment of clarity, and they're
good
like,
for them.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
But
proud to be a normie.
Proud to be a normie.
Proud to be
who am I?
Yeah, is that a bumper sticker? We should get those. We should get those. Proud to be a normie.
Do us a favor.
Yes.
Say hello to the people in Michigan. Just say a word or two to them.
We don't know who they are, but they just keep listening.
Hey, you know what? People in Michigan, you're fucking awesome. Everything you're doing, fucking awesome. Keep up whatever you're doing.
Also, Massachusetts, Illinois.
Oh, look at you. You're getting all over the coast.
We don't get it.
It's where we were actually able to, so on YouTube, you can actually see who's listening where. We don't know. I'm not questioning it, and I'm super happy. So, Illinois, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota,
Pennsylvania.
Y'all, the New England IPAs are the superior IPAs. Don't let West Coast fool you. New England is where it's at 110% of the time.
If you got to pick a side of the country where
no, it's
the best
New
beer
England.
is,
that's where the best beer is. Let's be real.
Okay, I think that does it for this episode.
Thank God we talked about it.